Yes, ma'am.
Right, Pawan? So you had 4 lists to do one problem. So now that we introduce dictionary, we know now that you can have one dictionary entry where you are saying the entry is each vegetable's name,
Yes,
right? Tomato, carrot, chili, three things, and storing each one of its properties into one entry, right? Tomatoes rate is 2, quantity is 5, color is red, and so on. Correct? Right? So now,
yes,
if let's say
yes,
you have 50 vegetables in a store, now what would you do? You would repeat it 50 times, correct?
yes, ma'am.
In the code. So now the next steps, what we are going to
Mm,
teach, which is Monday's classes, we are now going to introduce the database, right? So now what happens when you have database, you can have a
yes,
table
ma'am.
created, and table can have the fields called vegetable name, rate, quantity, color, and you can store how many ever vegetables you want in the database, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Purida. So that will be the next step. So that is why we were
Yes,
showing
ma'am.
you how to do it with list. The same problem. If you have a small thing, you can do it with list. But then, like now, you are realizing, hey, if they are like items, I can put together in a dictionary. Then the next step would be dictionary is still not manageable to have all the values in a code, right? Somebody can come and change the values,
Yes, ma'am.
do everything. So now that's where we introduce a database where you want the data to be protected and managed and maintained properly. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is the next step in introducing the database. So it's anyway. So நாங்க வந்து என்ன பண்ணுவோம்னா next week after you learn database, your problem would be to solve it using a database, the same problem. Make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So go ahead and explain your logic.
மேம் ஸோ வெஜிடபிள் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு டிக்ஷனரி கிரியேட் பண்ணிட்டு அதுல வந்து ஒரு ஒரு வெஜிடபிள் ஆட் பண்ணிட்டேன் மேம். ஸோ அதோட கீ வேல்யூஸ் வந்து ரேட், குவான்டிட்டி, கலர்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி ஆட் பண்ணிக்கிட்டேன் மேம். ஸோ யூசர் இன்புட் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு டிக்ஷனரி வந்து கிரியேட் பண்ணிட்டேன் மேம்.
Okay.
ட்ரூக்காக வந்து வைல்ட் ட்ரூ அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி வச்சுட்டேன் மேம். ஏன்னா அப்போதான் வந்து தட்ஸ் இட் அப்படின்னு கொடுக்கும்போது லூப் வந்து பிரேக் ஆகணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக மேம்.
Okay.
ஸோ ஐ அப்படிங்கிற வேரியபிள வந்து யூசர்கிட்ட இருந்து இன்புட் வாங்கிக்கிறேன் மேம். இன்டர்
Mm.
வெஜிடபிள் அண்ட் கிலோகிராம் ஆர் கிராம்ஸ், லைக் இந்த வெஜிடபிள் ஒரு சைடு கோலன் தென் வந்து கிலோகிராமா ஆர்
kg.
கிராம்ஸா அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி வாங்கிக்கிறேன்.
Okay.
அடுத்த லைன்ல வந்து இஃப் தட்ஸ் இஃப் இந்த ஐ லோவர் வந்து இருக்குல்ல, ஒருவேளை அவங்க கேப்ஸ்ல கொடுத்தாலுமே அதை லோயரா கன்வெர்ட் பண்றதுக்காக ஐ லோயர் அப்படிங்கிற ஃபங்க்ஷன் யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
Okay.
தட்ஸ் இட் வந்து யூசர் கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா கவுண்ட் பண்ற ஃபங்க்ஷன் வந்து இங்க கால் ஆகும். யூசர் கொடுத்த இன்புட்டும் அந்த வெஜிடபிளும் சேர்ந்து காஸ்ட் கவுண்ட் அப்படிங்கிற ஃபங்க்ஷன் வந்து கால் ஆகும்.
Okay.
ஆக்சுவலா இது வந்து லாஸ்ட் ப்ராப்ளம் அப்படிங்கறதால மேம் யூசர் வந்து எக்ஸிட் என்னென்ன பொருள் வாங்கி எவ்வளவு எந்த பொருள் வந்து அதிகமா சேல் ஆகி வாங்கியிருக்காங்க, மேக்ஸிமம் காஸ்ட்டுக்கு எது வாங்கியிருக்காங்க அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக ஷோ பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக இது கொடுத்துட்டாங்க. கண்டினியூ
Okay.
கொடுத்து இங்க லோயர்ல எக்ஸிட்னு வாங்கிட்டாங்க. எக்ஸிட் கொடுத்தா மட்டும்தான் வந்து பிரேக். மெனி யூசர்ஸ் வந்தா வாங்குறதுக்காக அது வச்சுட்டாங்க.
Many. Okay. Okay.
ஸோ தென் வந்து யூசர் கொடுக்குற வேல்யூஸ் வந்து வெஜிடபிளோட நேம் தனியாகவும் குவான்டிட்டி தனியாகவும் ஸ்ப்ளிட் பண்றதுக்காக நான் அந்த கோலன் வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன். இதை வச்சு ஸ்ப்ளிட்
Okay.
ஸோ வெஜ் ஸ்டோர் பண்ண சொல்லிட்டேன்.
Mm.
இப்போ வெஜ் ஒரு கேபிட்டல் கொடுத்தாலுமே அதையும் லோயர் கேஸ்ல மாத்தி வெஜ்லயும் குவான்டிட்டியும் ஸ்டோர் பண்ணிட்டேன்.
Mm.
ஒரு ஒரு குவான்டிட்டியில வந்து கிலோகிராம் அப்படின்னு இருந்தா இந்த கிலோகிராம எம்டி ஸ்ட்ரிங்கா மாத்திட்டாங்க.
Mm.
அதை வந்து ஃப்ளோட் டேட்டா டைப்க்கு மாத்திட்டு அதுல இருக்க கிலோ மாத்தி
Okay.
1000 மல்டிப்ளை
Mm. Okay, keep going. இந்த கொஞ்சம் வாய்ஸ் பிரேக் டவுன் ஆகுது, நெட்வொர்க் இஷ்யூஸ். ஓகே
மேம் கேட்கலாமா?
கேக்குது, கொஞ்சம் பிரேக் ஆகுது, பரவாயில்ல, பட் தட்ஸ் ஓகே. கீப் கோயிங், கீப் கண்டினியூயிங். அப்புறம் ரிக்வயர்ட் குவாண்டிட்டி
வந்து வெஜிடபிள் எஸ் மேம், வெஜிடபிள் குவான்டிட்டியோ நம்ம கிட்ட இருக்க ஸ்டாக் விட அதிகமா இருந்துச்சு அப்படிங்கிற பட்சத்துல சாரி தட் இஸ் நாட் ஸ்டாக் எனஃப், அந்த வெஜிடபிள் பேர் போட்டு எந்த அளவுக்கு அவைலபிள் இருக்கு அப்படிங்கறத பிரிண்ட் பண்ண சொல்லிட்டோம். தென் கண்டினியூ மறுபடியும் யூசர் வந்து அதை வாங்கணும், எவ்வளவு அந்த என்டர் பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கறதுக்காக கண்டினியூ கொடுத்துட்டோம்.
ஓகே,
எல் ஸ்பாட்ல வந்து குவான்டிட்டி வந்து மைனஸ் ஆகி திரும்ப அப்டேட் பண்றதுக்காக வச்சுக்கேன். மைனஸ் ஆகி ஸோ யூசர் இன்புட் வெஜ் அப்படிங்கிற அதுக்கு வந்து குவான்டிட்டியை வந்து ஈக்குவல் பண்ணிக்கலாம் கீ வேல்யூவா. இப்போ டொமேட்டோனா அதுக்கு வேல்யூ வந்து குவான்டிட்டி.
ஓகே,
காஸ்ட் கவுண்ட் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு ஃபங்க்ஷன் நாங்கள் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிடலாம் பண்றதுக்காக. அந்த ஃபங்க்ஷன் டிஃபைன் பண்ணி ஒரு வேரியபிள் கிரியேட் பண்ணி அதை வந்து கேஷ் ஃபார் வெஜ் அண்ட் யூசர் கொடுக்குற டொமேட்டோ அந்த அதை வந்து செப்பரேட் பண்றதுக்காக வெஜிடபிள் அந்த வெஜிடபிள் அப்படிங்கறது வந்து கொடுத்த வெஜிடபிள் இருந்துச்சுன்னா அதோட ரேட் கூட மல்டிப்ளிகேஷன் பண்ணி குவான்டிட்டியை 100 டிவைட் பண்ணிட்டோம். ஏன்னா பிரைஸ் வந்து கிராம்ஸுக்காக கன்வெர்ட் பண்றதுக்காக 100 கன்வெர்ட் பண்ணி 100 டிவைட் பண்ணிட்டோம்.
ஓகே, ஏன்னா உன்னோட பிரைஸ் 100 கிராம்ஸ் கொடுத்திருக்க, அதனால.
எஸ் மேம், அதனால வந்து 100. சோ பிரிண்ட் பண்றதுக்காக அந்த பிரிண்ட் செட் பண்ணுங்க.
ஓகே,
தென் இதுல வந்து
கண்டினியூயிங் இன்னும் வேற யாராவது வாங்குறாங்களா? ஓகே,
வேற எதுவும் வாங்குறாங்க இல்ல எக்ஸிட் ஒருவேளை கண்டினியூனா மறுபடியும் மேல போயிட்டு தென் அதே மொத்தம் என்னென்ன போகுது இது வந்து இன்னொரு ஃபங்க்ஷன் கால் பண்ணிக்கணும் சேல்ஸ் காமிக்கிறதுக்காக எக்ஸிட் ஃபங்க்ஷன்ல.
ஓகே, சோ நீயே வந்து ரெண்டு காஸ்ட் கவுண்ட்லயும் நீ அங்க பண்ற, இங்க வந்து you are repeating. Why can't you do both in one function? இப்ப நீ ரெண்டுத்துலயுமே வந்து you are looping through the user input items இல்ல?
Yes ma'am.
Why can't you do it in one function? You can also keep track of total sales இல்லையா?
Yes ma'am.
Why do you have to do it separately? Is there a reason? இல்லப்பா, இப்ப வந்து அந்த ஃபார் வெஜ் குவான்டிட்டி இன் யூசர் இன்புட் ஐட்டம்ஸ்னு ஒரு ஃபார் லூப் போட்டிருக்கல காஸ்ட் கவுண்ட்ல.
எஸ் மேம்.
சோ அங்க வந்து நீ என்ன கால்குலேட் பண்ற? அந்த வெஜிடபிள் இருந்ததுன்னா அதனுடைய வேல்யூ கால்குலேட் பண்ற, கரெக்ட்டா? கேஷ் எவ்வளவு கொடுக்கணும் அந்த பர்టిక్యులர் கஸ்டமர் எவ்வளவு கொடுக்கணும்னு கால்குலேட் பண்ற, கரெக்ட்டா?
எஸ் மேம்.
ரைட்?
எஸ் மேம்.
நீ அதே வந்து
எஸ் மேம்.
டோட்டல் சேல்ஸ் பண்ணும்போது அந்த கடையில ஒன்னொன்னு வாங்கின உடனே அந்த காஸ்ட் ஆட் பண்ணிக்கிற அதே கால்குலேஷன் தானே ரெண்டுமே, ரைட்? ஒண்ணுத்துல
எஸ் மேம்.
வந்து நீ அந்த பர்டிகுலர் யூசருடைய கவுண்ட் பாக்குற, ரெண்டாவதுல வந்து நீ கடைக்கு மொத்தத்துக்கும் டோட்டல் சேல்ஸ் வந்து கீப் ட்ராக் பண்ற. கரெக்டா?
எஸ் மேம். டோட்டல் சேல்ஸ். எஸ் எஸ்
ஆ
மேம்.
அது வந்து ஏன் வந்து அந்த டோட்டல் சேல்ஸ் அதே ஃபார் லூப்ல நெக்ஸ்ட் ஐட்டமா போட்டு பண்ணக்கூடாது?
மேம்.
புரியுதா
பண்ணலாம்
நான்
மேம்.
சொல்றது? பண்ணலாம். ஐம் ஜஸ்ட்
புரியுது
ஆஸ்கிங்
மேம். எஸ்
லைக்
மேம்.
தேர் இஸ் வந்து தனித்தனியா பிரிச்சு இது
எஸ்
புரியுற
மேம்.
மாரி
பண்ணலாம்.
போட்டிருக்க. I'm just questioning, is that necessary, right? See, நீ தனியா
எஸ்
யூசருடைய
மேம்.
குவான்டிட்டி நீ பிரிண்ட் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிற, பிரிண்ட் பண்ணு. No problem, right? But all you have to do is, if you are
எஸ் மேம்.
keeping track of the total sales, and the total sales will be total sales plus cash, இல்ல?
எஸ் மேம்.
கரெக்டா? Okay.
எஸ் மேம்.
Okay, it's okay. Go ahead.
டோட்டல் சேல்ஸ ஷோ பண்றதுக்காக ஒரு ஃபங்க்ஷன் கிரியேட் பண்ணிருக்கோம். தென்
ம்.
அகைன் இதுலயும் ஃபார் லூப்ல வெஜ் அண்ட் குவான்டிட்டி யூஸ் இன்புட் ஐட்டம்ஸ்ல
அதுதான் நான்
கொடுத்துருக்கோம்.
கேட்டேன். Do you really need another for loop? But you
எஸ் மேம்.
understood. Same thing with the max sales. நீ max sales you can also keep track in the same for loop. Correcta?
எஸ் மேம்.
You don't need 3 times to loop that. ஒரே வாட்டி லூப் பண்ணி நீ எல்லா வேலையும் நீ பண்ணிடலாம்.
எஸ் மேம்.
That would be my comment on this. Okay. Cool. சரி ரன் பண்ணி காமிக்கிறியா எல்லாருக்கும்?
எஸ் மேம். ஸோ இதுல வந்து வெஜிடபிள் நேமும் அது எந்த அளவுக்கு
எவ்வளவு
நம்ம வாங்குறோம்
வேணும்ன்றதும் கேட்கிறேன்.
அப்படிங்கறதையும் இன்புட்டா யூஸ் எஸ் மேம். வேற எதுவும் இன்புட் கொடுக்கலாமா இல்ல தட்ஸ் இட் கொடுக்கலாமா? இல்ல
இன்னொரு என்னென்ன வெஜிடபிள் இருந்தது மறந்துட்டேன். நீ அதை கொடுக்கணும்ல எனக்கு. டொமேட்டோ,
கேரட், சில்லி.
இன்னொரு வெஜிடபிள் போடு. வேற என்ன வெஜிடபிள் இருக்கு? அது ஒரு 1 kg போடு.
1 kg. சில்லி 100 grams போட்டுமா மேம்?
போடு. அதுக்கப்புறமா தட்ஸ் இட் கொடுத்துரு.
Total cost 74 rupees மேம். அகைன்
சரி இப்ப
கண்டினியூ பண்ணுமா இல்ல எக்ஸிட் பண்ணுமா?
கண்டினியூ பண்ணு.
கண்டினியூ பண்ணுவா.
கண்டினியூ டைப் பண்ணு. இப்ப வந்து டொமேட்டோ 4 kg கொடு. That's it. That's it சொல்லு இப்போ. ஓகே. எவ்வளவு இருக்கு டொமேட்டோ உன்னோட இன்வென்டரியில?
ஆக்சுவலா இதுல வந்து 4 kg பிரிண்ட் ஆயிருக்கு மேம். 3 kg தான்
ஆகணும்ல?
ஸ்டாக்
ஆகலையே.
இருக்கும். 4 kg எஸ் மேம். நானே யோசிக்கிறேன்.
திட்டணும்ல? திட்டல. ஓகே எக்ஸிட் பண்ணு. சோ அங்க ஏதோ தப்பு நடந்திருக்கு. கரெக்டா?
எஸ் மேம்.
எக்ஸிட் பண்ணிக்கோ. Okay. So now this is how I want you to test. நான் இப்ப அன்னைக்கே சொன்னேன் இல்லையா? You have to debug everything. Right? So total sales amount பாரு 80 rupees சொல்லுது. தப்பு இல்ல? Total sales வந்து
எஸ் மேம்.
80 plus
74
74 இல்ல?
rupees. எஸ் மேம்.
கடையோட total sales 154 rupees இருக்கணும்.
150
Max sales
rupees.
80 rupees correct. Max sales என்னால பண்ண முடியாது. ஏன்னா உங்ககிட்ட 4 kg டொமேட்டோ இல்ல. 2 kg வாங்கின அப்புறமா.
எஸ் எஸ் மேம்.
Okay. So those are the issues. So again, obviously you didn't test fully properly, correct?
எஸ் மேம்.
Okay. So finish paniko, exit. So those are the things you need to debug now and find where did you make the mistake. Okay, Pawan? So எப்பவுமே நான் உங்களுக்கு அன்னைக்கு கூட சொன்னது என்னன்னா, நீங்க வந்து ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராம் எழுதினதுக்கு அப்புறமா நீங்க வந்து யூனிட் டெஸ்ட் கேசஸ் எழுத ஆரம்பிங்க. என்னென்னலாம் டெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு பார்க்கும்போது எல்லா ஃப்ளோஸ்கிட்டயும் நீ போகணும். எவ்ரி இஃப்க்கு போகணும், எவ்ரி எல்ஸுக்கு போகணும். கரெக்டா? அப்பதானே ஃபுல்லா டெஸ்ட் பண்ண முடியும் நம்மளால. சோ ஒண்ணு வந்து கேஜி கொடுக்கணும், இன்னொன்னு கிராம்ஸ் கொடுக்கணும். அப்பதானே இப்ப இந்த ஒரு இஃபெல்ஸ் பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒண்ணு வந்து என்ன சொல்லியிருக்க, கேஜியா இருந்ததுன்னா குவான்டிட்டில இப்படி பண்ண சொல்றேன், எல்ஸ் இன்னொன்னு பண்ண சொல்றேன். அப்ப டெஸ்ட் பண்ணும்போது உன்னுடைய கோட் வந்து எல்ஸுக்கும் போற மாதிரி நீ டெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும், ரைட்? அதே மாதிரி நாட் இனஃப் ஸ்டாக்னா அதையும் நீ டெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும். கரெக்ட்?
எஸ் மேம்.
சோ அந்த மாதிரி பண்ணணும்.
எஸ் மேம்.
Okay, so you can stop sharing, Pawan. So
கண்டினியூ கொடுக்கும்போது என்னாச்சுன்னா
நீ பாரு, டீபக் பண்ணு.
கண்டுபிடிச்சிரும் மேம். எந்த
I know you will pay. So that's all I'm saying is நீயே அது டெஸ்ட் பண்ணி பார்க்கணும். நீ எனக்கு வெயிட் பண்ண கூடாது. கரெக்ட்டா? Those are the things you need to make sure.
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Amulya, did you do homework?
Yes ma'am.
So you want to share what you have done?
Yes ma'am.
Sure, go ahead.
Hello.
This
is the 7th questions. It's like based on the cities, and onion price will be differ, and there will be 3% add-on to the 3% of the petrol expenses add-on to the budget.
Okay.
First, I'm validating the user input of a budget. Like they will enter how much budget they have. If it is less than or equals to 0, it will again ask user to enter the budget. Like you cannot buy any item with this budget, like that. If it is proper,
so you want them to only give a whole number. They cannot say I have 100 rupees and 50 paise.
Like we can.
No, I'm just, no, you don't have to change. I'm asking that you made an assumption, right? That you want only, that's nothing wrong with that. You just say in an assumption, you need to write comments saying, I'm expecting only the whole numbers. Correct?
Yeah, nothing like
so
that.
You need to start putting comments. Okay.
Yeah, okay. And petrol expenses will be the 3%, which is 0.03 to the budget. I'm calculating the remaining budget, which is the budget they have entered minus the petrol expenses.
Okay.
And here I have user dictionary, which is a city price, which means onion price based on the cities, only onion, because the question they have mentioned. So, I'm taking the user input from the city where they want to buy. It will convert to the lower cases, and it will shift if there are any spaces between the letters, like that. So for the city, it is not in that city price, like what I have mentioned the cities here. If it is not, it will ask for a user to enter the valid city name.
Okay.
Then I'm taking the onion price from that city by defining a function, which is if city is in that city price place, it will return the amount.
Okay.
So this is the onion city price, which will go to that function. The result will be stored in this, like the return amount will be stored in this. So number of onion they can buy, because it will be hint only, because onion, like we cannot buy half or something, 25% of that, like that. So remaining budget division, like the remaining budget which I have calculated divided by the price for per onion, like that. So number of tomato
price per onion, it's a kg, right?
No, yeah, kg. Here in the question you have mentioned.
Yeah, it's
the
not one onion, right? Onion, one onion can be 50 grams or 100 grams, right?
Yeah, and it will print the number of onion they can buy with this amount. Can I run and show?
So what is by 10.5? That's like tomato?
Like it will constant on all the
Hold on,
cities.
let me program to find out how many kg of onion or tomato we can buy. 1 kg onion is, oh, can you go up?
Yeah.
1 kg onion is 20 rupees. Tomato is, keep going to the right. Tomato is 10.5 rupees. Input is the budget. Okay. So then same as above, but the price is different based on the city. Then it is the travel expense. So difference is based on the city only for onion?
Yeah, here in the
Only
second
that.
question
Okay, got it.
on,
Okay,
so
so
I didn't
scroll down
change.
now in the last part of your code. So you got the onion price and then you said remaining budget by 10.5 tomato. Okay, so then you're saying you can buy either this number of onion, this number of kgs of onion or this number of kgs of tomato.
Okay.
Okay, so see how many mistakes you have made and you're changing it right in front of me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not number of onions, it's a kg, onion kgs, right?
Okay. I'll change that.
Okay. And you're saying like you cannot buy, like if let's say I have money to buy 1.5 kg, you will say I can only buy 1 kg, correct? Because you're converting everything to int. Do you realize that?
Yeah, I thought number of onions, so that's why I gave hint. So
Okay. So now you know, like those are the problems you have. You need to fix all of those. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So did you do any other problems or just this one?
Like expenses, so I have done.
Okay. So this is wedding expenses. Cost for lunch per person is 200. Breakfast is half of lunch cost. Okay. Hall is 200 per person. Decoration is 50% of hall cost. Parking is 10% of hall cost. Okay. Decide what should be the input and calculate the cost. Okay. Take a look. Okay. So tell me how you solve this problem.
Like first I'm asking user to enter the number of persons they are visiting to the wedding or coming to the wedding.
Mm.
If that I'm validating the number of person if it is lesser than or zero, and if it is that then it will ask for a user to enter the valid number.
Okay.
As they have given the constant numbers for all of the expenses, I've done the same. Like cost for lunch is 200, cost I'm calculating per
Mm.
person cost, and
Mm.
total cost I'm multiplying the number of person with the total cost per person.
Okay.
So it will print the total cost, and the input budget it will display as it should be greater than or equal to the total cost, like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So next question will be this, the second part.
Mm.
Like the total cost is split by equally by the bride and a groom.
Mm.
Bride has saved 50,000.
Mm.
Determine if the bride has to take a loan or not. If a loan,
Mm.
how much she has to take, like that.
Okay. Okay.
So what I assumed is like here first a bride share will be the total cost divided by 2, as they are
Mm.
equally sharing. It
Mm.
will print the amount shared by the bride.
Mm.
So they have given bride saved is 50,000, and
Mm.
here I am defined a function like that. The
Mm.
loan is bride shared minus the bride saved, like
Mm.
how much she has shared and how much she has saved.
Mm.
If bride saved is less than the bride shared, like she has lack of money, if
So you have to take the loan.
yeah, then she has to take the loan, and
Mm.
loan price it will print.
Mm.
Otherwise bride doesn't have to take the loan, and I'm calling the function.
Okay. Go scroll up a little bit.
Yeah.
Keep going a little bit up. Okay, right there. Stop right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're saying that decoration, what was it? Hall is
Decoration cost is 50% of the cost of the hall.
50%.
Yeah.
Okay.
And parking cost is 10% of the hall cost, like that.
So what does that mean? So how would you do that?
Like here I have defined the cost hall as 200.
So it's
And
one person, 200, correct?
I'm
Okay.
multiplying with the 50%, 0.5, which is.
Right. No, what I'm saying is I'm trying to understand the problem statement. So is it saying that if, like, let's say 100 people attend,
Huh.
right? It will be the decoration cost is dependent on how many people attend?
No, it's only depend on the cost of the hall.
What do you mean? Cost of the
Yeah.
hall is dependent on how many people attend, correct?
Cost of the hall is 200 per person.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
So doesn't it depend on how many people attend?
Yeah, it depends. But
Okay.
I'm multiplying here, no?
Okay.
Number
No,
of
no, no.
persons.
I'm not saying what you did is incorrect. I'm trying to understand what the problem is saying. The problem is saying if 100 people attended,
Hmm.
right, the cost of the hall will be 100 times 200, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the decoration cost is 50% of that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want you to understand first. And then parking cost is 10%. So both the cost of the hall, the decoration, parking cost are all dependent on the number of people attend. Yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's all I was trying to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and run this?
Yeah. Like if I give some 100,
Okay.
total cost of the wedding it will give, and
Mm.
input budget should be greater than that.
Okay.
Bride shared amount will be off of that, because bride and groom sharing off of that.
Mm.
So bride has to take loan, because here loan is depend on the bride shared minus bride saved. Bride saved is 50,000, so which is less than 60, like what here
Less than 31,000, right?
yeah, bride does not have to take the loan then.
So one of the things I would say is you need to format your output. How can you format your output of the 62,000? You can put rupees 62,000 with the commas and not have the zeros, correct? 0.0.
Oh yeah.
So you can fix a lot of those things. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, go up a little bit in your code. I'm just trying to calculate. So it will be, okay. Okay. Anyone else have any questions about her code? Or comments or feedback? Okay, thanks, Amulya. You can stop sharing.
Okay.
So, Godwin, did you do the homework?
Yeah, ma'am. I've solved a couple of them.
Okay, do you want to share your screen then?
Yes, ma'am. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. So, ma'am, this is the one, ma'am, where we had to find out if the student is going to middle school or elementary.
Okay.
So this is the code that I've written.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. So first, I've imported the date time library.
Okay.
And from that, I've gotten today's date, ma'am, in the second line. Is there. And then in third line, I was just in the third line, I'm getting the year, month, and date, a day
Okay.
from the today that we have just got.
Okay.
And then I'm getting the name, and I'm printing their name, and then I'm getting their birth year.
Okay.
And if their birth is like less than 100, if they are giving less than 100 of birth year, like 1919 18 something like that, then I've given that I'll just do something, I'll print something, or if it's not, I'll just keep on continuing.
Okay.
And then I've asked for the month, ma'am. and I've given the condition for how the month should be. And then for the date, so ma'am, we have different dates on different months now. So I've taken if the month is 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, there should be 31 days. I've given that condition. If it's not, if it's like 4, 6, 9, 11, there is only 30 days. And if it's 2, I'm checking if it's a leap year or not. I mean, if it's a leap year, it will be like till 29. If it's not, it will be like 28. And then I've given the except for value error. If they try to input wrong values in the input, it will just throw value error.
Okay.
And then I'm counting the age, current year minus year. And then I check, ma'am, if the month comes before or after current, and I deduct the age if it's like before, and then I print the age. Then I check if I check their age, and if it lies in between, I print what school they are actually going.
I like your messages. The only thing I would comment is, you don't have comments, right? Make sure you add what you're trying to do. That's one thing I would suggest. And this will be like timeless, right? You can have this any day, right? Anytime. So one of the things I can also suggest you is you are kind of like separating out each year and each month and each date, and you're giving specific messages, right? Which is nothing wrong. But you can also just ask them the date of birth and valid if it's a valid date, correct?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
There's another way to do it, right? I'm not saying nothing wrong with what you quote, but there are other ways to validate a date, correct?
Okay.
You can ask them to enter the date directly and say, this is not a valid date. It can be as simple as that.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Okay, any feedback from others on this code? So have fun. It seems like you had fun, Austin, right? Doing this.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
That's what we want, right? That's good. Like you try to make up comments, like, nice comments and all that. That's the fun of programming, right? And then you need to obviously test everything and see, is it coming? Is it working correctly, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So what else? What's the other one you did?
Ma'am, I did the budget one.
Okay.
So this was based on the sum that Amelia explained.
Okay.
So first is the onion prices on different cities. I've given it in a dictionary.
Okay.
And then, ma'am, in the problem, it had also been given, ma'am, when it's not mentioned, it's 20 rupees. I mean, it's not given specifically, but I just assumed it like that.
Okay.
And then I've created a function called calculate budget, where actually I've given city equal to none. So whenever we call the function without any parameters, the city automatically becomes none. Okay. And then in the try section, I've asked for the budget. And if the budget is greater than 0, I'll do the calculation, such as deducting the petrol value. Okay. And after deducting, the remaining budget is what I've used to calculate how many kilos of onion and tomatoes they can buy. Okay. And then I've printed them accordingly. If the city is none, it will just print the else statement. If the city is something, it will just print the city also. Like given city dot capitalized. So it capitalizes the first initial and then prints it. Okay. And then, ma'am, in the next function, that's the main function. This is where the program will start executing on. So first, I'm just printing out the cities that I have. Okay. So the user can get to know which cities are available. Okay. And then I ask them if they live in the above cities. Okay. And if they say they live there, just ask them which city they live in. And then call the function accordingly. Okay. Okay, good. I like it again, right? Comments. I know it's, just keep adding. I think you do have some comments.
but make sure the assumptions that you talked about in the beginning, make sure you have that on the top.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Good. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I think Jay Darshini.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you want to share what you did?
Yes.
So while she's sharing, you all check the messages, right? On the I think in the Discord, which Chitra ma'am put, right? She wants you to start doing projects, correct? Have you seen those messages? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what we want to do is next is like we want you to, because you are in these advanced classes, the expectation is you already will be like able to pick it up, right? So Kamala ma'am is going to teach you database concepts, and I'll be there, I think, like to answer any questions, whether it is database or whether it is Arivoli, whatever data structures he's going to teach. In Sundays, you can just come to me with all the questions. I can keep reviewing the code and keep giving you feedback. But what we are expecting next step is to do now the next thing, right? The whole front end and back end together, right? To learn, because you cannot just do lists and arrays and dictionaries and do complicated problems, right? You want to start with databases. So hopefully you all got the feedback about installing MySQL. Did anybody have issues with MySQL installation? If so, let me know. Otherwise, be prepared for Kamala ma'am's class. She'll be she teaches in the college, so she'll teach in the way, I'm not a professional teacher, but she is. So she'll be able to help you with whatever you need from a database perspective. So that would be the best part to learn. And then whatever you have solved right now, the vegetable, the shop, or anything, right now, we can start building into the database and, do more advanced problems. Okay. Okay, Jayadarshini, are you ready to share?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just making sure you all got the message in the Discord.
Is my screen visible?
See your screen? Yes.
So I have tried using the dictionary array lists and lists, ma'am. The problem of vegetable store.
So I know you did this in Java right now, Jayadarshini,
Yes,
but
ma'am,
did
Java.
you have trouble learning Python? Because I think I don't know if you or somebody else asked. I said it's good to learn one more language, right?
Yes, ma'am. I am currently now coding in Java. I mean, should I learn Python also? And
it's good to learn, right, Jay? Like now you get the opportunity, right? And it's not, Python is not very complicated. You just have to translate it into the Python syntax, right? It's actually smaller code than all the Java code, to be honest with you. So I'm not saying you have to, but given an opportunity, if I were you, I would learn another language.
Okay.
You don't have to be a one-horse pony,
Yes, yes.
Okay, keep going.
So, ma'am, I think in Python we have dictionaries, but whereas in Java we have hash maps to store the key value pair, ma'am.
Okay.
So that's what I've used the hash maps to store the price of the tomato, onion, and chili.
Okay.
And then I have taken the input of the total cost. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Keep going.
Yes. Okay. So then next what I've done, so in the line number 36, ma'am, I've created another string array and stored the separate tomatoes and the quantity of tomatoes separately now.
Okay.
Using colon, that means by storing the hash map in Java, like tomato colon 5 will be stored, ma'am.
Okay.
So when in the string paths array, it will be stored as tomato. Tomato will be stored in the string paths array, and like for example, 5 will be stored in the next part array, ma'am.
Okay.
So now we have the amount and the what we need and the quantity of what we need.
Okay.
So then I've calculated the amount and calculate the total cost of water.
Okay. So total cost double cover by 100. Okay. Okay, why don't you go ahead and run your program?
Yes.
And I would want someone else to give her the input. Who wants to volunteer to test her code? Okay, go ahead, Pawan. Give her input.
Tomato 2 kg. Colon sir.
No.
Colon. Tomato colon 2 kg. Then
No, actually, that's not how we supposed to do it.
So how are we supposed to enter input?
Ma'am, we should enter as the string we will enter the input, ma'am. It is not.
So did you not test the code?
I have tested it. It was running.
Okay, so you give the input then.
Yes, ma'am. Just
Okay. So that's okay. You don't have to solve right now, but fix the code and make sure, it works. Okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay. You can stop sharing your screen, Jayadarshini. Okay. So what other questions do you have about whatever has happened so far? I want to make sure you all are getting what you need from the classes. That's one thing. So what do you need? Like, do you want me to give you more homework? In what concepts do you want me to give you homework? I can give you whatever you want. What do you think you want to learn before database concepts? Nobody? Hmm? Everybody knows everything. You don't need help with anything. Pavan?
Ma'am, give
database
homework.
முன்னாடி
Yes, Pavan?
டேட்டாபேஸ் முன்னாடி என்ன படிக்கணும் சரியா தெரியல மேம்.
Okay.
நீங்க நீங்க எது சொன்னாலும் அதை படிச்சுட்டு போயிடலாம்.
Okay. How about Godwin? You were going to say something?
Yeah, ma'am. I was having a lot of doubts on, ma'am, functions and passing parameters.
So, அது இந்த passing parameters in the local, global, எந்த conceptsல உங்களுக்கு confusion இருக்கு? We can go over that.
Yeah, ma'am. That's what it's, ma'am. The local, global.
Variables எப்படி pass பண்ணணும்?
Yeah, ma'am. அதுக்கு ஒரு order இருக்குன்னு சொல்றாங்க. Like.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can cover that. Okay. What else?
Like
Anybody else?
while solving questions, they'll be giving complexity, like big O functions, like that. How can we solve based on that constraints?
So say that again. What was the function you said in the beginning?
Like big O functions, complexity and
Complex.
space
Okay.
complexity, time complexity. Yeah.
Okay. So what else? One second. So. So I'm trying to get to my screen and share it. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Godwin, yes, you had a question?
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, as I showed in the last program, ma'am, I called the main function separately to make it running. Is there a concept of constructors or a concept where I can, invoke a function when the program is, starting?
Oh yeah, so that object-oriented concepts, we have not shown that, correct? Like you all know object-oriented concepts, right? So yeah, you can always have constructor and all those functions. The same concepts you use in any language, you can use it here. 1 second, let me get to start with the function basics. Because I'm not prepared. I'm searching for where I have that code. 1 second, okay? I'll show you. I don't know what happened to my VS Code, but trying to open up my Visual Studio Code. For some reason, it got deleted. I don't know how. Maybe I was doing something. Sorry, I'm just setting up VS Code again. Some reason it got deleted. 1 second, okay? Okay, so I'm going to start now sharing my screen. 1 second. Let me see. Okay, let me know you can see my screen first. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Okay, so let's start with a variable which is a global variable. Okay, so that's where we will start because we were talking about scope of the variable, right? So the first thing is you need to know if when you define something called a global variable, what does that mean? That means that variable can be accessed anywhere in the code, right? It can be inside or it can be outside. So like for example, here what I have done, I've said x is equal to 10. And here I'm having a function called print global. And then I'm saying print x. And then I'm calling the function and then print. And I'm also printing the same print in the outside the function and inside the function. So now what do you think will be printed if I run this? So I'll start with Godwin. What do you think will happen?
Ma'am, both will print 10.
Yeah. So why? Because it's a
Global variable.
Global variable. So I don't have to. So now let's say I am going to say here, okay, so I'm going to get to the next one. Okay. So I'm going to have it like this. Let me show you. So let's take this off. Let's put this. Okay. So now what do I have done? I have a function called print local, and within that function, I have defined y is equal to 5 and I'm printing y. And then I'm calling that function here, right? Which will try to print y. And then I also have a print y outside. So now what will happen? Will the program run? I'm already seeing a squiggly line here, right? What is it saying?
Y is not defined.
Not defined. Because y is not defined? Because y is a variable that is only defined within the function. It's not outside the function, correct? So what is the scope of the y variable there? Scope meaning where is it valid?
The print local function.
Only within that local function. Yes? Everybody understand? Amulya, did you understand what is happening there?
Yes, ma'am.
Because that y, the scope of that local variable is only within the function. Correct? Okay. So now I'm going to ask somebody, like I'm going to give you another example. Okay. So what I'm doing here is, I'm going to copy this. Now what I did, I defined a variable called z, it's 20, right? And I have a function called modify global, and within that I'm saying global z is equal to 25, print z, and I modify do the global and print z. I think I'm going to ask who else is on the call. Pawan, what do you think will happen now? What will print?
Set equal to 20 அப்படிங்கிற வேல்யூ வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அசைன் ஆயிடும். தென் பிரிண்ட் இசட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கொடுத்துருக்கிறதால 20 வந்து பிரிண்ட் ஆகும்.
கரெக்ட்.
தென் மாடிஃபை த குளோபல் ஃபங்க்ஷன் கால் பண்றதால இசட்டுக்கு வந்து 25 அப்படிங்கிற வேல்யூ வந்து மறுபடியும் அப்டேட் ஆகும். தென் பிரிண்ட் இசட் கொடுத்துறதால 25 அப்படிங்கிற வேல்யூ பிரிண்ட் ஆகும். 20 25 அப்படிங்கிற வேல்யூ பிரிண்ட் ஆகும்.
ஏன் எதனால z அப்டேட் ஆச்சு ஃபங்க்ஷனுக்குள்ள?
குளோபல் இசட் ஈக்குவல் டு 25 அப்படிங்கிற வேல்யூ நம்ம வந்து கொடுத்துருக்கோம். அதனால வந்து அப்டேட் ஆயிடுச்சு.
ஏன்னா இது குளோபல்னு நம்ம டிஃபைன் பண்ணிருக்கோம்.
அது குளோபல்.
கரெக்ட்டா? ரைட்? சோ இப்போ நான் ரன் பண்ணேன்னா எனக்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 20 பிரிண்ட் ஆச்சு, அப்புறம் 25 பிரிண்ட் ஆச்சு. What if I don't have this word global? What do you think will happen?
Then 20 again print out பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
So like for example, நான் இது எடுத்துறேன்.
Yes, ma'am.
இப்போ என்ன ஆகும்?
இப்போ 20 தான் 20 print out.
Okay, so இப்போ நான் print பண்ண என்னாச்சு?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
why
20,
didn't Z get updated?
So ma'am, global அப்படிங்கிற வேல்யூ வந்து நம்ம எடுத்து விட்டோம்.
நம்ம
Z அப்படிங்கிற
global
வேல்யூ வந்து
variable
லோக்கல் வேரியபிளா
பண்ணாதப்போ
மாறிடுச்சு ma'am.
ரைட். இந்த இடத்துல நான் print Z போட்டா என்ன வரும் எனக்கு?
25 வரும்.
So Jayadarshini, did you understand that part? Why it is printing 25?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right? So you understood, right? So any variable, when you define it outside, it is available for outside, correct? But in a function, if you access the same variable as a global variable, it is also available inside the function. Everybody understand? It's the same variable. But within the function, if you don't define it as global, then what is the scope of that variable? Local variable. Yes? Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on this so far? Okay. Okay. So that was one thing. Yes. Go ahead.
Ma'am, how we define the Z as a global inside the function. If we define the that Z as local outside the function, will that work?
No, local for what? Outside is all local, right? Global is same as local outside, correct?
Yeah.
Local concept comes in only when you are trying to do it within a function, correct? See, everything, all the statements, like for example, this statement that I highlighted, and all these statements are outside, correct?
Yeah,
Statement 1, 8, 9, and 10 are outside. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So that is the locality of that code, correct?
Yeah.
So the variables that you define outside are available outside. So what is different local? This definition, correct? So within this definition, you can either access global variable or you can have local variable. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I can have one more function here, right? So let's say I have another function called modify2, right? Now I can have within here my own local function, right? Using the same variable Z, correct?
Yeah.
I can do that. So what is the scope of this variable Z?
Inside the modify two.
Only inside modify2, correct? Is it available outside?
No.
No. Does it make sense? But what if I say I am saying here global Z is equal to 20 or 0? Then now what happens immediately?
It will turn into
It
global.
will, like if I say I want to use global Z and then I say Z is equal to 0, now I suddenly am not using a local variable, rather a global variable. What is global mean? Which is outside, right? The main function.
Yeah.
Now I'm touching that variable. Correct?
Yeah.
So a local concept, what you are trying to say is, can I have a local variable? Like what is local means here? Outside is local, right? Like everything is like local, which is same as global, correct? The local concept comes in only within the function.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on the scope of the variables? Okay. I'll also actually give one more example. Okay. So what if now I say, okay, and then I say here, what will happen now? I'll remove this. What do you think will get printed? Who wants to volunteer and explain to me what is going on? Okay, Pawan, tell me what will print first and then you explain why.
20, then again 25.
So first it will
25.
print 20, then it will print 25, then it will print what?
25.
So you are saying 20, 25, 25, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else think something, some other answer?
Ma'am, shall I? Ma'am, I think it will print 20, 25, and again 20.
Okay. Any other answers? Who agrees with either one? Godwin, what do you think will print? Let's everybody put in chat what you think will be printed. Let's do that. Let's play the game. Put in the chat what you think it will be printed. Pavan, you type in what you thought. Okay. Godwin says 20, 25, 20. Amulya says 20, 25, 25. Pavan says 20, 25, 25. Okay. Jayadarshini. Okay. So ready to run? Okay. What got printed? So now whoever said 20, 25, 20, explain to people that said the otherwise. So Jayadarshini and Godwin explain to Amulya and Pavan why not 25. What happened?
So what happens is,
okay, you both can explain. Both of you explain one at a time. So Jayadarshini, go for it first, and then you also explain your way of explaining Godwin. Okay, go ahead, Jayadarshini.
Okay. So first Z is assigned as 20, which is the global variable.
Okay.
So first, when we print Z, the 20 will be printed.
Okay.
Now, next we're calling the function modify global. And inside the function, we're printing X, which is assigned as 25, ma'am.
Okay.
So 25 will be printed. And again, now we're printing Z, which will be the global variable when 20 is getting.
Okay. So Godwin, you have different explanation. You give your explanation, and then we will let Pavan and Amulya ask questions. Okay. Okay, you go ahead.
So what happens here is, the first we're declaring Z as a global variable and we're assigning it to 20. And then there is a function called modify global and it has a parameter X, which we are assigning X to 25 and we are printing X there. So in the line 9, what we are doing is printing the global variable. And then in the line 10, we are calling the function modify global and we are passing the global variable as a parameter. So what happens is that this parameter is passed to X. Now X is just taking the value of Z and storing itself, in X there. It's not actually changing the value of Z. It's just assigning that value. And now 25 is just assigned to X and it's just printed. The Z is not yet changed. So 20 will be printed again in the line 11.
Okay, so Pavan and Amulya, did you understand what happened? Why not 25? Purinjida?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Like
Yes, ma'am.
firstly, I thought if we modify it, it will be continue like that. But then I got to know that if we modify it inside a function, then it will be inside that.
Right. So I can also explain it in another way so that you will never forget the concept. Okay. So what happens when a program runs? You know that memory is created, correct? Right? So what will happen when the first function z is equal to 20? So there is a place created to store the value of z in the computer. Okay, let's start like that. So it will say, oh, I need a place to store the z and the value of that is 20, correct? That's the first thing that will happen. And this is a global variable, correct? It's available for anybody who wants to use it. Everybody understood that part, first part? Yes, that's the first thing that will happen. So now what will happen? The next thing that is happening is you are then saying, okay, I am going to define a function, right? When a function is defined, is memory created? Anybody knows?
it's not created.
It's not created because I have not used yet. I just gave a definition of the function. So when the program runs through this, okay, it's a definition. Okay, whatever. Whenever people invoke, I'll get to it, right? So now what we are doing, we are saying print z, right? So then what the computer is doing, it's going to the place where it stored the value of z and it sees the value is 20. So it goes and prints 20. Everybody agrees, right? So it has only so far created one variable, and that one variable is a global variable, and it has the value of 20 stored in that memory. Yes. So now we are saying we are invoking the function modify global, and we are passing a parameter called z. So what is the value of z when the function is invoked? What is stored in z in the memory? It's 20, correct? So when this happens, did it create any new memory when the function when we get to that place? All it does is it evaluates what do I have for z and says, oh, z is 20. So this is the what I would want to invoke the function with, correct? So it comes here. Now it will goes into the definition of the function. Here it says, oh, now I am getting a variable, right? I'm getting a parameter passed to me, and that is supposed to be stored in the value called x. So now what it creates the memory called x, right? For storing that value x. And what got passed for x? The value 20. So it creates now variable, which is a local variable. It will only stay until the function is executed. It will erase it once the function is done, right? So it creates this memory. Then it says, okay, now I came in, I create a variable called x, and I'm going to store in the memory the value 20 because that's what being passed to me. Yes, everybody agrees? So now, is the memory for z and x the same? The memory it allocated, is it the same? No, right? This is one location, this is one location, correct? Two places it has created. Think of it in your head like there are two cells it created, right? So now what are we saying in the next line? We are saying x is equal to 25. So it goes and says, hey, I created a place for x. Currently 20 is stored. Now they are asking me to update it to 25, correct? It modifies it. Then you are saying print x. So then it says, oh, what is value stored in x? 25. So I'm going to print 25. So 25 is printed. So while doing all of these things, did it ever access the memory where z is stored? Pawan?
Ma'am?
When these are happening, did it ever go to the place where the z value is stored?
Ma'am.
No, right? It never touched there. It never went to that place because there is no reference of z, correct? I'm only talking in x, which is a local variable. So now my 25 is printed. Now what happens? My function is completed, correct? So now do I need the local variables anymore? No. So it will erase the memory. So the memory of the computer is gone. There is no x anymore, correct? So now it says, now you come to this function and says it's print z. Oh, somebody wants me to print z. What is stored in z? It will print 20. Did everybody understand how things are working? Any questions on that? Okay. So
only memory get erased if we print a function inside the local, I mean inside the function.
Say that again, Amulya. The memory is erased when the function is completed, not when it is printed. When I come out of the function, I completed the value, whatever I have to do with the function, correct?
Okay.
Once this function, see, you're invoking the function here, correct? So this is where the local x is created, correct?
Yeah.
And then when the function is completed, local x is removed, right? Erased.
Okay.
I'm done. Correct?
Okay.
But the z is always staying because z value that I created in the beginning stays in the memory because I am using it until the whole program completes, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope, I just wanted you to imagine what is exactly happening in the memory so that you will know whenever you don't have any use of those memory, you need to clear that. right? That's what's happening automatically when it is a local variable, right? So now the reason why I want you to understand this is, what if I create everything as a global variable? Then I'm just unnecessarily carrying everything, correct, until the end of the program. Think about it. When will Z get erased? The Z value or Z value that I'm saying, when will that get erased? We started off with, we created a place to store the Z value as 20, correct? When will that memory get erased? Who knows? When the program is completed running, right? Yes. So if I have 10 variables I create, all 10 variables will store in the memory until I completely come out of the program, correct? But if it's a local variable, it gets erased as soon as the function is completed. So that is the difference. Okay. So now to make those concepts even more understand, I'm going to give you one more question, and hopefully you will answer now that you understand what's happening. Let's see if you know how to solve this problem. Okay. So now I'm put a function lesson here. So now tell me, all of you in the chat, what will get printed? Is everybody agreeing or not? First of all, I want to, okay, everybody said 510. Okay, so let's run this first and then we will walk through. Somebody explain to me what happened. Okay, so the answer is correct. Everybody agreed. So what is happening? What is X? So now think about what I explained, and you explain to me how the memory will be created and erased. Who can do that? Okay, Godwin, go ahead and explain. What do you think will happen here?
So ma'am, first we have defined function 1 and we have assigned the value of 5 to x. So this is just the definition, and it's actually not creating any memory here. And also the same for the function 2. And when we are calling function 1, it just goes to the definition and then assigns x equal to 5, and then prints x. And then after coming out of that function, the x is actually deleted, or it's removed from the memory. Right. And then the function 2 is called, and then x is assigned to 10. Then it gets printed, and after it comes out of the function, the x is again deleted.
Okay, very good. Everybody agrees to his definition? Okay, now the next one. I want you to tell me what will happen here. Everybody put in chat. Okay, 150. Okay, let's run it. Okay, that's good. So somebody explain what happened here. What is X? What is getting created and what is getting erased?
Memory,
who wants to?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's memory getting created for the global variable first, which is x is equals to 50. After we call a function, it will create a memory for a x which is unread. And after that function execute, and it will destroy the memory that is created for 100. So once we print after the function is executed, it will casually take the global variable which we used earlier.
Right. So why didn't in the print inside function X, why did, so think of this. First, there is an X created, correct, outside. Then when you invoke the function, another X is created, which is local, right? Why did the print function go to the local X, then global X? Why did it not take to the global X?
Because we have not defined the X as global inside that function.
Exactly. Very good. That's what I want you to keep reiterating this so that you will never get confused, right? Because I didn't say it's a global, that is why. Correct?
Yeah.
So that would be the next one. I'm going to give you another example. So now somebody else now again attempt for this. So give me what will happen in the chat. Okay, there is difference between the answers. Amulya and Amulya, your answer is different. I want you to again see, and if you want to keep your answer, change your answer. What do you want to do? You want to keep your answer? Change your answer? Okay, okay.
Yeah, because I have not seen that global.
Okay, why don't you, Amulya, explain what happened?
Yeah. Firstly, it will create a memory for the global variable, which is y is equals to 20. And
Okay.
after we call a function, inside we are invoking a y as a global, and we are modifying. So,
okay, so
it
will
will
it
use
create any
internally
memory?
modifies the, yeah.
Inside the function, will it create new memory?
No, it will modify
It's,
the global
yes.
variable. Yeah.
Correct. Because it is not creating any new memory. It is accessing the same memory, correct? Which was created in the beginning, correct?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, answering quickly, I thought I didn't
Yeah,
get
that's
any.
why I thought like I wanted you to again look into it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's go look at another one. Okay. Now everybody don't answer quickly, think and answer. Okay. This is a nested function. I thought I can stretch your complexity a little bit. So first of all, did you understand the code? What is happening? There is a function within another function. Okay, 2020. Jayadarshini, you have a different answer. Do you want to change it or you want to keep it?
We'll look again.
You want to change your answer? Keep it? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and run it. So obviously your answer is incorrect. So can someone explain to her what happened? Maybe Amulya, you want to explain to her?
Yeah. Like, firstly, we are calling inner function. So it will go to the inner function and it will create a memory for a z, which is non-local. And z is equals to 20 it assign inside the function what the z value has, it will print that. So after that, we are giving a print outer function. Like, we are calling a outer function and it will go to the function which is a value of z is equals to 10. So for outer function, it is not, which is not inside the function we have mentioned it's non-local, which is a global variable. So it will print the 28.
Right. So when you say non-local or global, it's the same. Basically, you are using the value that is defined in the V10 outer function and you are modifying it to 20. Right? So whether you call it from the inner function print statement or from the outer function, because the inner function happens first, where it is setting to 20, the value is changed. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Jayadarshini, now does it make sense?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on that part? Godwin, yes, you have a question?
So, ma'am, if the Z is non-local, can we print it outside the function now?
Where it is print. So here, you mean here in this outer, right here?
Yeah, ma'am, in the 13th line.
Okay. So what do you think will happen? You tell me before I even type. Do you think Z is available outside or not?
No, because there's the non-local keyword.
Z is not available outside the outer function, right? So you cannot, right? See, I'm getting a squiggly line because Z is not defined outside. Z's scope of Z is what? Line 1 to 10, correct? Yes? Do you understand, Godwin?
But ma'am, so what does that non-local keyword do, ma'am?
So this one is similar to, this is saying, see this, okay. So now let's say I don't have non-local. Okay, now let's do this, okay? I don't have this non-local. What do you think will happen now? What is the answer that will be printed? Tell me. What do you think that will get printed, Godwin?
20 and 10.
Why?
No, because it's actually inside the inner function.
Yeah, exactly. So the non-local of Z is saying if it is available outside, I'm accessing the same one, correct? Correct?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, got it.
Make sense?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So we can run it and see if you want. You see? That's what happens, right? The minute I make it, I don't say it's not non-local. No, the moment I don't say it is non-local, it becomes local, correct? So what does a local mean? The Z scope of this Z, if I don't specify this non-local, is only up till this, correct?
Yeah, ma'am.
Make sense? Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
ma'am.
why I just thought I'll give some a little complication by inside the nested function. So I hope it helped now to understand a lot of all these local and global. Is that good? Anything else? Hope that helped. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I think I covered what you wanted me to cover. Hopefully, all these examples I gave helped you in understanding the concepts, correct? And
Ma'am,
this will be yeah,
another
go
doubt.
ahead. Sorry?
So, when we are passing these variables to a function, what is the order of passing, ma'am? Because I was doing a homework that Arivalisa gave,
Okay.
and it was like throwing an error called, it's not in the right place, and that I shouldn't.
So show me what you're like. Are you sending multiple parameters? Is that where you're having problem?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So I can give you examples of how to do that.
Yeah, ma'am. I actually checked it, ma'am, and it was like there was an order, and I corrected it, but I still had some doubts on what the order is.
Okay, so I need to see what you were trying to do. So
Yeah, ma'am. Just a minute.
so something I can show an example is like this.
So, ma'am, the problem was to get a matrix as an input
Okay.
without using any looping condition. He said to do it using the concept of recursion.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I was doing something there. Here in the place like count is the number. I was like giving mat and then I, j, and then count, and it was doing an error. For a minute. Just a minute.
Okay.
I don't know where, but
It shouldn't matter. You can send it in any order, Godwin, as long as you're consistent with what the function is expecting, right? You shouldn't have a problem. You can send it in any order.
I don't
Any
know why
number
it's
of
not
parameters.
showing now, ma'am. But
Okay. So basically, like, see, whenever you send, right, you need to always think just because it has the same names, it's not a global variable, correct?
yeah, ma'am.
That's one thing you need to understand. Because whenever you are trying to send a variable, unless you define it's a global variable, it's a local variable, correct?
Yeah, ma'am.
Right? So that's something you have to. So like, for example, if let's say, I'm going to show again my screen, just to quickly give you a high level, what is it that we're trying to say, right? So let me know if you can see my screen. Once the screen appears, let me know. Can you see my screen? Right? Okay. So now what am I doing here? I'm saying length is 10, width is 5. Rectangle area is calculate length comma width, right? So I'm passing here the length and then the width. Length is 10, width is 5, correct? Remember, I was explaining to you the scope of the variable. So here, if I think about it, what will happen? When the program is invoked, when it comes to line 6, it is creating a memory for length, correct? A space and stores the value of 10. It will create a memory for width and it will store the value of 5 there. Yes? So far, so good, right? So now when I invoke this function, what is happening? It says, hey, we need to assign, I need to create a memory for rectangle underscore area where I'm going to store whatever is going to come back from the function, correct? So that function I have to call, which is calculate area with the length and the width. So it goes and checks in the memory. What do I have for length? 10, correct? So it will send 10. What do I have for width? It is going to send 5. So now the function is invoked. Everybody with me so far? Yes? Okay. So now when it comes here, when it comes into the execution of the function, it realizes, hey, I need a local variable called length and I need a local variable called width, right? It is not going to get to this way memory, correct? It is going to create its own local variable. So these two are global variables, correct? And it is now going to create length is passed as 10, width is passed as 5. These are local variables it creates in the memory. Okay. So now what is happening here within the function? Now we are saying I need a variable called area and I'm going to calculate it and store it. So now it will create a memory called area space and it is going to store in that 10 times 5, which is 50. Yes. So now what will happen if I don't have this return statement, what will happen? When I come out of the function, all my local variables will get erased, right? My length will get erased, my width will get erased, everything will get erased. Yes? So after this, when the function is done, all local variables are erased. Yes? So this is also local variable, right? Area is also local variable. So what are we doing because of that? I'm saying return area. So I'm saying send this value back to whoever called me, correct? Yes. So when that happens, what is happening here in my rectangle area? When I called this function is returning me a value of 50. Yes. Everybody with me so far? So when this value of 50 is returned, what is happening in the memory? In the memory, the rectangle area variable now has a memory stored as 50. The value of rectangle area is now set to 50. So now when I print, the rectangle area contains 50. So that's getting printed, right? So now what if I don't want to return it and I want to have the rectangle area being set within the function? How would I change the function? Tell me.
Return எடுத்துட்டு print போடலாம். Print it.
இங்க print போடலாம், but what if I want to print it outside? But I want the function to change my rectangle area, to calculate my rectangle area. What can I do? Instead of doing returns, I can make the rectangle area as a global variable, correct? Yes, I can make this as, oops, I didn't type global. Now what happens? Now what happens? If I have it as global, now what happens with this rectangle area? Oops.
Change to 50.
So now do I need to return? I can just do calculate, right? Yes or no? So Godwin, do you understand what is happening? So I can either have it as a local variable and return the value at the end of the function, or I can just start using global variables all over the place. But that's a bad habit, right? Because if you change the value of the global variable within a function, the whole sanctity of a function is destroyed, because you want a function to do just what it is asked to do. You don't want anything to be outside global values to be changed within a function. That's a good way of writing program. Everybody understands that part? So what I have done is the bad habit. But people do. Even today, we see people using the global variables all over the place. So why would you think it's bad to use global variables? There are multiple reasons. I want one of you to start answering. Why won't you want to use global variables? I just went through all of those reasons. I want you to reiterate. Amulya, go ahead.
Like if we use local variables, we can save memory once the function is
Very
finished.
good. Yes. That's one reason. Anybody else has any other reason? I just now said about that reason.
Like if we change the
I think Amulya,
change,
you said one, right? So Godwin, you
yeah,
go ahead.
Ma'am, it can lead to complexities where we
Yes.
actually don't want to change the variable, but we accidentally do.
Right. You don't want to change the variable inside a function, right? Global variables.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Usually where people use global variables are, if let's say you are defining some constants, right? So let's say you are defining that, my percentage for income tax is 5%, let's say. Okay. And maybe you want to use that everywhere. Maybe then that can be a global constant. Usually for variables like that, it is not a variable, but a global constant, right? You want to set the income tax rate to be, let's say 5%, or maybe, something like that. That's where people usually use global variables, where whether it is outside or inside, you want the value to be the same. But you can, as far as you want to actually pass it as a parameter. You really don't want to use global variables as much as you can. But there are reasons why you would use it that you will start learning. But I would say anytime you write a function, you should pass what the function needs, and you should return what the function did. Use the return statement. Okay. Okay. So I think we'll end the class now here. Hopefully you learned, a little more, right? And obviously next week, I think you will learn about database concepts, and you will also learn about data structures. So when you come on Sunday, I can just go over whatever you need, come with topics that you want me to cover, whatever is you want me to reiterate, we will keep doing that. Okay. Any feedback?
Ma'am, attendance.
Oh, yes, please. You have the form, right? Thanks for reminding me. Do you have the form, or you want me to give you? Okay, I can put the form, attendance form. Please do the attendance, and keep coming to the class. That's more important, right? Keep doing homeworks, keep coming to the class. You never know what you will learn. So any feedback, Pawan? What did you learn today?
Some function parameters எப்படி யூஸ் பண்ணலாம், global variable, local variables difference வச்சுட்டேன். தேவையில்லாம ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்றதை குறைக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Godwin, hopefully I helped you with understanding the global and the local scope and the passing of the parameters. Okay, if you have more questions, let me know. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. I really understood everything.
Okay. Okay. Jaydarshini, Amulya, any feedback?
Yes, I got to know more about functions in the global variable. I have studied it before, but I got to recap and.
Okay. Okay, Amulya.
Yes, ma'am. Even for me also, I read it before, but it's like a revision and more kind of knowing how can we go through the each and every line and how the memory allocates like that.
Yeah, because if you have that in your head, right, you will never make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Think of it like what's happening behind the scenes. I always try to imagine, like, somebody going and making a space and saving it and storing it and rewriting it and things like that, right? So for me, it helps to like think like that. How is memory allocated? How is memory removed? And because you don't want to have too much in memory, right? Memory is very, very, precious, right? You want to keep that how much ever smaller you can be. That's where your compute will be optimal and so on. Okay. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next Sunday. I think so. Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.